property prices are falling, your heart starts to beat a little faster. As your excitement builds, this is the exact opportunity you've been looking for. Today, we talk about the truth about property investing in Australia. So the first thing you want to do is understand what strategies work for you. I remember talking to a person not too long ago. She was a busy professional working 80 hours a week and was a big fan of the block. Her dream was to buy an investment property and to do it up herself, to complete a full renovation and sell it 12 months later. And one of my questions to her was whether or not she was biting off more than she could chew. Because let's face it, if you're working 80 hours a week, there's really not much time to put a renovation on top of that. And this is where you'll want to begin. Start off with asking yourself what's within your circle of competence. If you have little time, then the last thing you want to do is choose a strategy that requires time. So a few questions to ask yourself is, what's within my skill set? What are the constraints I currently have on myself, both in time and ability? And what's already in my area of expertise? And you really want to choose a strategy that's going to complement you, not that's going to wear you down and grind you down. The next one to keep in mind is time frames. And many people think properties are quick game. Unfortunately, it really isn't. There's a lot of data out there, CoreLogic has provided this before, where property is a long-term gain, and those that win are those that keep properties for more than 5 years. And this is where you really want to understand what you're looking to do and how quickly you're looking to do it. And comparing yourself to other people, whether they've completed a development or bought something off the plan where they've had instant equity, isn't necessarily the best thing to do, because property is also about cycles, and those cycles are hard to predict. And if you are looking to buy an investment property to gain quickly, probably a few questions you want to ask yourself. The first question to ask yourself is, why is my time frame compressed? The next question is, why am I looking at properties? Are there any other investment vehicles that could achieve the goals I'm looking for? And finally, what's my risk profile? Because ultimately, the higher risk you take, the higher potential payoff. Now knowing your time frames, the next thing to look at is the market you're looking to enter into. And this really will set your sail, because knowing your time frames and knowing the market will really dictate the type of property you're looking at. And let me give you an example. I've got a mate who bought a property in Red Hill, which is a beautiful suburb here in Brisbane. He bought a property that was completely dilapidated 5 years ago and was rent vesting. His ultimate goal was to eventually settle down, have a family, and build a brand new home, family home, on this exact property. And while he had a short-term goal to really make it an investment property and gain from the rental income and the negative gearing associated with it, long-term the strategy was much different. And this is a beauty, because if you know your strategy and direction, you can make the right calls that'll really line up both now and in the future. Next is what you can comfortably afford. Now, I have to say, these aren't the bank's numbers. So the bank says you can borrow $2 million and you're only borrowing $500,000. Well, I hate to say, this isn't what your affordability is. What I'm referring to here is what you can comfortably afford. That's how much can you comfortably put into the deal each week based on the rent minus all the expenses. And you've got to think about everything. If you're buying a unit, think about the strata cost. If you're buying a property, think about everything from waters to rates and all the rest of it. So really have a clear picture of what it'll cost you each month, and then link it back to your budget, because you want to look at two things: how much you've got left surplus each month after your income and all expenditures, and what you have left in the savings, whether it's in your offset or redraw account. Those two things will really dictate what your affordability is. And in an ideal situation, you have a minimum 8 weeks worth of rental saved up in an offset facility. And if you have equity that's already available in your current property, you might consider increasing the loan amount so you've got that saved up, so that if worst case scenario did happen, that you wouldn't have to be living on baked beans and noodles for 3 or 4 weeks, because we have to face the facts. Things do go wrong and things do happen. So if for whatever reason that your tenants weren't able to pay the rent for an extended period of time, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's something you've already prepared for and something you've already considered. And finally, you want to build your A-team, from a great solicitor to a great building and pest inspector and a great mortgage broker or banker, because these are the professionals that are going to be in your corner looking out for your best interest and making sure that you don't make a mistake. Because properties are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and making a mistake can literally cost you thousands. Here at Hunter Galloway, we get home loans approved. So if you live in Australia and looking for a great mortgage broker, we can help. There's no fee and we service across Australia. So hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au or call us on 1300 088 065. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you then.